Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. You can really feel that weekend starting to come once you get to the second half of the show on Thursday. Should be a gorgeous weather weekend down here in South Louisiana. I'm not going to promise spectacular football. Saints don't play, and LSU, we'll see what they've got for us at 11:45. We'll talk about it with Chris Blair coming up in 15 minutes. We'll talk Saints with Luke Johnson in half an hour. Missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. We're always brought to you by Sagrera Farms on Thursdays. Let's talk LSU and Arkansas. We haven't done a lot of that. Andrew Ellis was with us in the first hour from Inside Arkansas and kind of gave us the Arkansas side of things. But I've got a story up on LouisianaSports.net talking about matchups to watch. And one of them I think is just so obvious to talk about when it comes to LSU and Arkansas. When I mention Arkansas to the LSU fan, you're immediately going to go, Taylor Green. Sam Pittman's fired. Bobby Petrino. Great offense, terrible defense, right? Like that's just like kind of like the generic thought on Arkansas, who has not won a league game this year. And yeah, well, that's right. And they have the worst defense in the SEC. They're 45 yards per game worse than second worst in the league, and they're 2 points worse than second worst in the league in scoring defense. They are the worst defense in the SEC. Every single SEC team has scored at least 32 points on them. That includes Auburn, who averages like 24 points per game, and fired their coach. Like, everybody's scored. We talked to Andrew Ellis in the first hour. He said, look, they don't have the dudes on the defensive front. They've got guys in the secondary who were basically benched on other SEC teams. It's just not a defensive unit that has SEC caliber players on it. And he's right, which is why they get gashed every week. Except one guy. And he's the guy I want to talk about. Because once I tell you where he plays, you'll go, oh, that's probably kind of relevant. Quincy Rhodes, you may have never heard of. Like, not watching a lot of Arkansas football. They're not winning a lot of games. But Quincy Rhodes Jr. is an edge defender for Arkansas. He is 6'6". He is 275 pounds. And he can play. He is second in the SEC in tackles for loss with 14. He is second in the SEC in sacks with 8. And he comes off the edge. He is big. He has got long levers. He can bend. He can win at the point. Like, he's good. And LSU has no tackles. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. You've got a true freshman playing on one side, and you've got a revolving door on the other side. And we talked a lot of the week entering Texas A&M 2 weeks, well, I guess it was 3 weeks ago now, about Cassius Howell. This guy's got a lot of sacks. He leads the SEC in sacks. He's really good off the edge. What are you going to do at tackle? Tyree Adams is hurt. What are you going to do? And you saw on LSU's first drive, Garrett Nussmeier dropped a pass, and Howell came off the offensive left side, the defensive right, and Carius Kern never touched him, and he leveled Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, just leveled it. It was one of those sacks. Some sacks kind of pop up out of nowhere. Some sacks, the entire stadium can see it coming for like 3 seconds. And that's what that one felt like. Kern never touched him. Howell just got up the field, bent the edge, bam, flattened Nussmeier. And that's the kind of player that you're looking at here in Quincy Rhodes Jr. And LSU knows that. This is not a secret. This is not like A&M last year where they went with Marcel Reed and you went, oh, I was kind of prepared for Connor Wigman here. What is this? Let's figure it out. Like, you've known all week that this is the only player on Arkansas's entire defense that is reasonably decent. He's very good. But everybody else, the other 10 guys out there, can't play. Can't play dead in the Western. They get gashed every week. So if you're LSU and you know that perhaps the weakest spot on your offense is both tackles, and their best player is over there, you've got to find a way to account for that. Now, I know that fans get tired of looking at it, but like one of the things LSU is just doing until they're blue in the face is they're throwing screens because they don't think they can sit back and drop to throw the ball a long way. And there's reason to believe that based on the pressure that Garrett Nussmeier's faced most of this year. So you've got to have a plan for Rhodes. Now, your tight ends don't block very well. Like Bauer Sharp doesn't block very well. Trey'Dez Green doesn't block very well. Can you put Donovan Green on his side? Maybe. Do you need to roll the pocket like LSU did in Tuscaloosa early in the game to just make sure that you're moving away from him? Do you have to run at him? Keep in mind, Arkansas, really bad. Stopping the run. Really bad. But you can't let Quincy Rhodes Jr. take over this game. And if you don't do something to combat him and you just ask Carius Kern and Weston Davis / Ori Williams to handle their business against him, that is a losing proposition. You're going to be tasked in this game with scoring some points. It will stun me if LSU is able to win this game like they did against Florida or Clemson or South Carolina and just go out there and beat Arkansas 20-13. Like, it will stun me if they're able to do that. They've got to find a way to move the ball and get points frequently. And you can't do that if Quincy Rhodes is terrorizing your tackles. Now, I'll listen to the adjustment being, we're just going to let Michael Van Buren go back there. We're going to run some read option. We're going to run the ball more than we don't. And we think he can be elusive enough to get away from Quincy Rhodes at times. I'll listen to that now. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not in the camp that says Garrett Nussmeier should never take another snap at LSU. Like, I'm not there. There are some that are. That's fine. You can have that opinion. I don't have it. But if your adjustment is, well, we need a guy that's a little bit more athletic to help our tackles. He moves a little bit better. He can evade some rush. He can step up and run for 5 yards if he needs to. We can run read option stuff that freezes the defensive end and doesn't let him get up the field, where he does do a good job against the run with those 14 tackles for loss. Like, we'll just leave him unblocked and read him. Like, you can do that too. There are things you can put in to make sure this guy doesn't blow it up. Because you heard Andrew Ellis in the first segment, the first hour. You're listening to me. Look at the stat sheets. Look at the scoreboard. Look at anything you want to look at. There's nobody else in that Arkansas defense that you're like, ooh, need to really account for that guy. It's Quincy Rhodes Jr., and that's it. Now, if you had Will Campbell and Emory Jones, like, I'd go, who cares? Just go play. He might beat you once or twice, but over the course of 65 offensive snaps, you'll be fine. Just run your stuff. But with this offensive line, I'm not saying that. You just, quote unquote, run your stuff, he'll crush you. He's better than what you've got on the edges. So that's the only place in this matchup, offense. And I know LSU's offense has been bad. I get it. But I don't look anywhere else and think, God, I don't know how LSU's going to combat that. They can do everything else against the team. They can run the ball a little bit. Not great, but some. They can complete passes. This is a bad unit. Memphis went up and down the field with ease on them. Auburn. Have you seen Auburn play offense? Have you seen them? They went up and down the field in Arkansas in the second half. They had to change quarterbacks to do it, and that may be the method for LSU, but Auburn did it. So this is not a segment about how bad LSU's offense is. We've watched them. But teams that have far less talent and have been even less productive than LSU, Auburn in particular, have moved the ball. It can be done. You can't let this guy put you in 1st and 18 with a sack. Strip sack, create a short field for Arkansas's offense that gives you no chance as a defense. 3rd down and 6, you can't get your guys out in route trees because you let this guy bend the edge and get to you too quickly and blow up the play. You've got to have a plan for this guy almost every snap because he's just better than what you got. You've had all week to figure that out. It's the one matchup when you're on the field that benefits Arkansas. Neutralize it and go win everywhere else. That's what you've got to do with this guy if you're LSU. I can come up, and I will tomorrow. We'll talk about options that LSU has to be productive in places where I do think LSU is better than Arkansas. This is not one, so clean it up. That's what I'm thinking here. In this first segment of hour number 2, it's first matchup to watch. I've got 2 more matchups to watch that you can check out at louisianasports.net for free. Speaking of LSU, Arkansas, Voice of the Tigers will have the coaches show tonight with Frank Wilson, TJ Ribbs on Acadian. He will join us when we come back next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Captives, something that you've got to explore if you're a business owner and your insurance program feels like it's just getting to a point where paying for it is prohibitive. Like a lot of folks are in that boat. The insurance market is tough. Captives are a way to do something creatively to help handle costs. You've got to have sizable premium. You've got to have great loss control. You've got to have great history in your losses. If you do, and your broker hasn't presented you a captive, go visit with the Highland Insurance Group. They are happy to do it. Jonathan Carver and his team work with captives every single day. And not every broker has access to captives. Some brokers are kind of locked in with what they can provide you with. Not the Highland Insurance Group. They're independent. They've got contracts with dozens of carriers. They've got contracts with captives. They can help you out with that. So if you're a business owner, CFO, risk manager, whoever's handling insurance, and captives have not been presented to you, the Highland Insurance Group can help you with that. They're based here in Baton Rouge. You can check them out online at HighlandIG.com. It's Jonathan Carbo and his team. The Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
Guarantee Media is hiring. Join the team that has been named again as one of the best places to work in Baton Rouge. We're local trendsetters committed to your career growth. GuaranteeMedia.com, an equal opportunity employer. GuaranteeMedia.com.
Hey, it's Garrett Nussmeyer. Everybody knows a quarterback is nothing without his teammates, and I'm lucky to have some of the best in the country. Off the field, I've got another great team, Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge. From the luxury of a sedan to the strength of an SUV, their lineup has a perfect fit for your lifestyle. And just like my teammates, they make sure you've got everything you need to succeed. Visit my team at Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge. They'll get you driving like a winner.
For a test drive, visit us on Airline Highway in Baton Rouge or at mbobr.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Looking for a big old slab of ribs tonight, maybe something cold to drink, brisket quesadilla. You can get on by TJ Ribs tonight at 7 o'clock for the Frank Wilson Show. Chris Blair, Voice of the Tigers, certainly be there. You can hear it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Chris with us on Thursdays. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Hunt. Hope you're doing well.
Doing quite well. Let's talk about what we saw in Tuscaloosa back on Saturday. Tiger defense bowed up and played pretty well. What'd you see?
Yeah, I mean, certainly played well enough to get a win. I mean, again, I think that's what probably left most people feeling the way they did late Saturday night. You know, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Because I thought the defense did a really good job against a really good offense that does what they do, albeit a little different than Alabama that we're accustomed to. You know, again, it's an offense that relies on the passing attack, a pro-style quarterback. And once again, I thought LSU's defense did an excellent job of, again, keeping them under their SEC average as far as points are concerned. And I think if you ask most people on any given year, if you go to Tuscaloosa and hold Alabama to 20 points, LSU, and for that matter, any other SEC school feels pretty good about it. It all comes down to, once again, and I'm sure you're going to, I'm stealing your thunder, but it was the inability to find the end zone, which, again, the opportunities were there. Opportunities to have big plays, big chunk plays were there, and just did not come to fruition.
Do you feel like Michael Van Buren gives him a little bit of a spark, a little bit of a different look?
I mean, I think, you know, yeah, it's so easy, Hunt, and I try to caution myself from just simply going, well, look, when he got in there, you know, good things happened. And of course, that's true. I think there's a dynamic to what Alabama was preparing for, what Kane Womack was wanting to do defensively, and suddenly you have to change a little bit, and there's going to be an adjustment period for Alabama's defense, even though they probably did work on the fact that Van Buren may see some action. But having said that, still didn't get into the end zone. So is that just a great job by Alabama's defense, or does that mean there's still a lot more work to do, not just who the quarterback is, but the offense as a unit?
No doubt. And you look at offensive tackle, you know, you've got a freshman out on one side while Tyree Adams is getting healthy, and then you've got a kind of revolving door at the right side. And Arkansas's got one of the better edge rushers in the league. So what have you seen from those guys, and how can LSU help them?
Yeah, I mean, It's an interesting matchup. Again, all the storylines, interim coaches, and Battle of the Golden Boot, all that goes with it every single year. And the fact that you've got an offense that's pretty prolific under Coach Petrino, not a shock. You got an offense for LSU that is struggling mightily, averaging just over 21 points a game in SEC play, and you're facing a team that pretty much rolls the helmet out there and puts 30 plus against SEC teams. Pretty good SEC teams, I might add. They haven't won a game, but they've certainly had their opportunities because they score points. And then you've got an Arkansas defense that, outside of a handful of guys as a unit, is absolutely horrid. So does that give you optimism that, hey, this might be the chance to find the end zone? To me, that's the biggest question. I mean, you say it all the time when you break down matchups. Something's got to give. Well, what is it that's going to give this particular Saturday for one team or the other? And frankly, even though we're at week number 10 or game number 10, I should say, I don't know that I have an educated guess as to which one is going to give, whether it's Arkansas's defense, stands up and gives LSU trouble, or if it's LSU's offense that, finds the right sync, if you will, to be able to produce points. Because goodness knows, I mentioned it to everybody when we left Bryant-Denny. I don't know how good Arkansas is defensively. I haven't seen them yet other than watching them on TV. I've seen the Arkansas scores. But I do know one thing: 9 points won't get it done.
No, 9 will not get it done. Arkansas is going to score, and one of the reasons they score is because Taylor Green puts up a lot of yards and makes a lot of plays. He makes some mistakes, but he makes a lot of plays, and LSU, as we know, has struggled corralling running quarterbacks. Diego Pavia, Trinidad Chambliss, certainly Marcel Reed got going. What do you think Blake Baker's telling his guys this week?
I think that's the thing that concerns me the most, Hunt, is the fact that not only does Taylor Green run the ball effectively when plays break down and when they design runs for him, but they also have some pretty good running backs. So their rushing attack overall is pretty good. So, you look at a matchup like South Carolina and you say to yourself, okay, if you can hem in Lenore Sellers, make him play in a phone booth, you feel pretty good. Well, for most of the night, that's exactly what happened. Did not happen at Ole Miss. Even though I think they've got a really good running back as well. So suddenly now it was, to me, when you look at the Ole Miss loss, it was LSU guessing as to when the quarterback was going to be involved and when they would account for that quarterback along with the running back. And the tight end was able to get some big plays. So it was kind of like they picked their poison. We're going to the tight end or we're going to concentrate on the quarterback. That's a little bit of my concern going into this because I think Arkansas has the ability to run the football beyond just Taylor Green. Now, he's a big part of it, but he's not the only part. So for me, it's like we've got to be all in on stopping the run. If nothing else, regardless of final score, we are not going to let Arkansas as a team come in here and run up and down the field, whether it's Green, whether it's their running backs, whether they get their receivers and jet sweeps, whatever that combination is, it has to be we're going to make Taylor Green put points on the board. The only way he can do it is in the pocket or somewhat in the pocket throwing the ball down the field. Because I like LSU's odds with their receivers versus our corners and our safeties. I like that. If they're able to run all day long, it could be a very long morning and afternoon.
Yeah, 11:45 kickoff inside Tiger Stadium. What's you curious to learn from Coach Wilson tonight?
Well, it's kind of what you were asking me, and I wish I had better answers. I don't, but I'm gonna start with where were the deficiencies when you broke down the film? What were the problems that hampered your ability as you ran up and down the 20s? Once you got in the red zone, what was it that broke down? Was it schematics? Was it personnel at the wrong time? Was it getting the play in on time? Just kind of want to see how they went back post-mortem, if you will, to borrow a bad term, to see why that was happening. Because, as I said, I think the most important thing is, and Coach Wilson said this Monday, it's non-negotiable. They got to find the end zone Saturday. So I want to start there. And then I think defensively, I want to say, okay, what have you heard and what have the defensive coaches talked about that were the X's and O's deficiency that allowed Chambliss to have a field day or at least be very successful as a dual-threat quarterback? What was it that happened against Diego Pavia that allowed him to be a dual-threat quarterback, and obviously Marcel Reed? And I know they've been working on it. I know they've identified it, but I think that's what I want to find out is what were they What do they think they got to do differently, and see where that falls.
Got a thought on the basketball team after a couple of wins?
I like the way they look. I like the way this roster is constructed. I like the size on the front line. I think I told you that last week.
Yeah.
Obviously DJ Thomas is a legit point guard. I still hold firm. I don't know how much we'll know about this team. The same way I would say about any team you gave me right now in college basketball, whether it's the $22 million Kentucky Wildcat roster that fell short to Louisville in that rivalry game the other night, or whether it's whatever team you want to pick. I don't know that anybody knows exactly what they have just yet. I just think it looks more like an SEC team. And Coach Brady has said the same to me. I mean, you'd love to have a great point guard. You'd love to have a lights-out shooting guard. You want a front line that can protect the rim and pound the ball into the paint and get some shots around the rim and rebound. And you like to have a wing that's very athletic that can score inside and out. That's the perfect roster. I think LSU's come a long way in a single year in getting that backcourt and getting that front line. And I think they've got very good role players at the 3 and 4 position. And that's why I'm still pretty bullish on this team.
We'll see. There'll be action tonight against Florida International from the PMAC. Last one, Chris. We'll let you go. Paul Skeens wins the Cy Young in his second year, won the Rookie of the Year last year, and that was the first year he played professionally beyond his time at LSU. How quickly did you know that this was going to happen?
Yeah, I think after watching his rookie season. I mean, I really believe that. I mean, we all saw what was incredible, and you and I have talked about it. We saw him early on in his senior campaign here at LSU, and we're like, man, guy is really different from everybody else. But it's a long season. Can you continue it? Can you do it back to back to back? And he did, and he made it look pretty easy, to be honest with you. And then he goes in his rookie season, and you're like, okay, he's on adrenaline. He's shot out of a cannon. He's got great skills. But is he going to be able to do this night in and night out? Then you get to this season where he's got an under 2 ERA on a team that absolutely sucks, that loses every game 1-0 or 2-1. He's just amazing. And as I've told people before that live outside of Louisiana or may not be LSU fans, guys, watch Paul Skeens. If you love baseball, watch Paul Skeens because you're watching history. You're going to be talking about Paul Skeens in the same way we talk about DiMaggio and the way we talk about the Babe. We're watching it in real time.
He's pretty salty. I was caught off guard at his time at LSU in the first SEC weekend. He went to College Station and just dominated them. And Jim Schlossnagle said, I've been around a long time, which he has. Said, I saw Strasburg. He's better than all those guys. Said, oh, really? That's good. And it turned out to be really good the rest of the way. He's pretty awesome. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, be with you. Frank Wilson show tonight. Be on the call Saturday morning to begin things for LSU and Texas A&M. Thanks, Chris.
You got it, man.
Always enjoy our conversations with Chris Blair. You can, again, catch the Frank Wilson Show tonight, Eagle 98.1 at 7 o'clock. It'll be opposite LSU basketball, which you can find on 100.7 The Tiger this evening here in Baton Rouge. All right, let's step aside, and we'll talk Saints when we come back with Luke Johnson. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. And you can really do everything online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. You can see the entire inventory. You can see pictures of every car that they've got on the lot, see the features of all of those vehicles. You can see the awards that they have won. You can see pricing. And if you decide based on browsing, hey, I'd like to take a look at that, but I don't know about getting all the way over to Airline Drive based on where I am. Well, that's okay. You can just get a remote test drive. Get one of their brand ambassadors to drive right over to you, to the office, to the house, and you can test drive that way. And if you decide after that test drive, hey, this is something I'd like to move forward with, you can buy that vehicle without ever setting foot on the lot because they'll send you an e-contract. They'll deliver your vehicle to your front door. It's as easy as that. It's all about convenience, customer service, and a wonderful brand and line of vehicles at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Again, they're on Airline at PQ, but you can check them out online, GenesisofBatonRouge.com, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Shift things back to the black and gold. Saints get a win in Carolina. They're off this week. Luke Johnson, not off this week. He's here with us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Covers Who Dats for the Advocate, NOLA.com. gives us time on Thursdays. Luke, how we doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. Whether it was a trend, a stat, a moment, what was the best thing you saw from Tyler Shuck in Charlotte?
I think it was the thing that he did on third downs. You look at what this team has done for the majority of this season. It was like 3rd and 8+ was a death sentence for this team. I mean, converting less than 15% of their opportunities there, which, like, for context, would have put them at either the worst or the second to worst in the NFL. Shuck got in there and he extended plays and he gave him life, and they converted 3 out of their 4 chances in 3rd and long, which is like a far cry from what they were doing. And that's just like a microcosm of what made that performance so impressive. It was the feel in the pocket. It was the ability to throw downfield on target. And that is something that you feel like you can build on. And you feel really, really encouraged by that. Like, he's going to have to show a ton more, right? Don't get me wrong. Like, it was one game. We've seen awful quarterbacks in the past have one really good game. So we got to see more of it. But, like, that in particular really, really made me feel good about him.
What didn't you like, if anything?
Honestly, like, not much. There's some nitpicky stuff you can pull out of that game and be like, not so great. And I'm talking about Tyler Shuck specifically here. Like, there was a 3rd down throw to Taysom Hill. It was like a 3rd and 4. He had him on a little option route where he kind of put it on his back shoulder. It was tough, like a tough catch to make. That was on Shuck. There's another one that was like a double move to Devon Bailey, where if he threw the pass on target, would have been a huge gain. Instead, it was kind of underthrown, and Bailey had to, like, come back for it and didn't make the play. But, like, again, that's nitpicky. And, like, I think if you're seeing a guy who can do the hard stuff really, really well, you can build on the easier stuff, and you could see a path forward to him being a really good quarterback. But like, he's got to get that stuff done, right? We're talking about a guy who was really impressive last week, came up in clutch moments, but at the same time, they scored 17 points. Like, this is still a team that hasn't scored more than 20 points in 8 out of its 10 games. It's got to be more consistent, but that's a really, really good first step.
You mentioned Devon Bailey. What are your expectations for him after the bye week, now that you've got some room to get him on the field?
I mean, I expect him to be a bigger part of this offense, which, like, really isn't saying much.
Yep.
I think he's topped out at 2 catches in his 9 games with the team so far. Like, it was really nice to see Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson have big games last week against Carolina. Really accounting for the majority of those 282 passing yards that Tyler Shuck had. But when you look at the box score, Bailey was the only other receiver targeted, and he had 1 catch. So I think that was like a nice performance. Like, they're going to need other people to contribute to this passing game. It was a step in the right direction to see Bailey get a really significant portion of the snaps played. That's something that we haven't seen all year. And obviously, like, they needed somebody to step into the void that Rashid Shaheed left when they traded him. So, like, I'm encouraged. I want to see more.
Offensive line, I spent a whole segment on it in the first hour. There's just a lot of moving pieces, injuries, development, whatnot. What's most important to you moving forward after the bye week on the offensive front?
I just want I want to see continued strides from Kelvin Banks. I think it has been exactly kind of what you expect from a rookie offensive tackle, even considering the fact he was taken in the top 10, right? Like, there has been some moments where it's looked really, really, really good, and there's been some moments where it's looked not so good. I just want to see him kind of make continued strides to where by the end of the season, you're like, we have our starter there for the next 10 years, as long as he stays healthy. I think he's on that track. And that, to me, like, when you're looking at what they're doing this year, you want to see signs that your first and second round picks in this year's draft are going to be guys who are like cornerstone players for you. And, like, Kelvin Banks being like a stud left tackle is one thing, right? That'd be awesome if you can get that out of the top 10 pick. It is not a guarantee. Like, I mean, the Giants couldn't even unload Evan Neal this year at the trade deadline. The Saints found a trade partner for Trevor Penning, which tells you exactly how bad Evan Neal's been for the Giants. So it's not a guarantee, but, like, pretty good chances of landing a good player there. If they're able to get a player out of Tyler Shuck, like, just think about the value of that. Like, that's a 40th overall pick for a quarterback who you feel like can be your franchise quarterback. Again, way too early to really legitimately have those conversations, but if they do hit on them, like, that's such a huge boost to what they're trying to do. Like, if you're looking at a team with a top 5, top 10 pick next year, to not have to worry about quarterback, to be able to find and to not have to worry about left tackle, like, to be able to find a true impact player at a premium position that's not one of those two, like, then you're really talking about being able to rebuild quickly and accelerate the rebuild. So it's super, super important they hit on those two, and Kelvin Banks is a huge part of that.
I thought the defense did a good job on the Carolina ground game, which was the biggest concern this time last week. What'd you see from the defense? I think it was a lot of older players, but what'd you see?
Yeah, I do think that, like, if you're looking at what Carolina wants to do, it is like get after your butt with their offensive line, right? Like, those guys they're not like these like A+ pass blockers. A lot of them are A+ run blockers. And they want to just get downhill and just get after you. And the Saints completely controlled that, which is really nice to see. Like, I don't know if this is going to be a thing that we can count on the rest of the year. Like, they've just been really a Jekyll and Hyde run defense. It kind of depends on the week. But for that week, it was awesome. And it was, you go back and look at it, and it was a lot of gap integrity, stuff that sounds boring as hell, but, like, it's how you win football games. And the defensive line was just kind of dictating the game to the offensive line and letting the second and third level defenders come in and make plays. And if you're able to do that and look at the Panthers, be like, now beat us with Bryce Young. I mean, that's like, we see what we saw last week. Like, he's not the kind of quarterback who's able to take games over on you. They're going to have different challenges toward the end of the season. I think they'll face some better quarterbacks. But, like, if they are able to dictate the terms in that way, I mean, look, that's what made them such a great defense for, like, 5 straight years with Dennis Allen calling plays. They were an awesome run defense who then dictated the terms to the offense. And then they could play the way they wanted to play. So, like, if they could consistently stack that, you'd feel pretty good about it, especially considering some of these games they have coming up on the schedule. I mean, they were winnable games. Granted, everybody's looking at the Saints as a winnable game.
Yeah.
But there's a chance for them to really feel good about themselves going into 2026.
How much more of Danny Stutzman do you expect to see after the bye week, if any more at all?
Yeah, I think it's going to be just about what we've been seeing. Playing about 1 out of every 4 series or something like that. Because they're paying Pete Werner. I mean, I don't think Stutzman has been so good that you're just going to take Werner out of the lineup. Even if Pete's, like, not this, like, overly sexy player, does a lot of, like, splash plays on the defensive side of the ball, like, he is at the very least, like, going to be where he's supposed to be, and he's dependable. So I don't think Stutzman's done quite enough in his limited playing time to be like, we can live with some of the mistakes he's going to make as a rookie, because we think he's, like, got star potential. But I do like the fact that they're playing him. Like, this is an organization right now that needs good young football players, and Danny Stutzman's one of them. I like the fact that they're giving him a look.
Is there another young player that you think we might see more of after the bye week anywhere on the field?
No, I don't really think so. I mean, you think about, like, look, their rookie class right now, and even their second year class. I mean, they're all playing big roles, with the exception of Stutzman, really. I would personally like to see more of Devin Neal, I guess. I don't know if we're going to, though, if that makes sense. I still think they're going to lean hard on Alvin Kamara. We saw last week, like, when he's going right, he's a really big part of their offense. But I do really like what I've seen out of Devin Neal, like, in the very limited opportunities he's had to carry the ball. And I think he's probably the best like, pass blocking running back they have on their team right now, which is, like, where we're seeing the majority of the snaps. So, outside of Neal, though, I mean, like, Quincy Riley's starting, like, Stutzman's got his role, Shuck is starting, Kelvin Banks is starting, Jonas Sanger is starting, they got Kool-Aid McKinstry starting, they got Brian Brzee in there playing a bunch of snaps. Like, they're definitely making a concerted effort to get younger and play their younger guys. I just don't see, like, a lot of opportunities, because they're already playing so many guys, for them to get even younger than they already are.
Over under on Saints wins the rest of the way, 2.5.
All right, I had them at 3 and 4 when we did our little roundtable segment. I think it's publishing tomorrow on the site. I don't feel good about that. I feel like I'm maybe getting a little bit too high on what they did last week, but I really do think that schedule lines up to where I could see them being the Jets, the Titans. I could see them beating the Falcons. I could see them beating the Panthers again. I could see them beating the Dolphins. Like, there's a lot of games there that are, it's different than the first half of the schedule where they played kind of the cream of the crop. They're going to get a chance to play teams that are in their peer group. So I think we'll see them play really competitive football at the very least, and something that looks close to 500.
He's on Twitter at @ByLukeJohnson. You can find him during the bye week. And, of course, as the Saints move on in the back half of the season, he's here every single Thursday. Thanks, Luke.
My pleasure, man. Talk to you later.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. You're talking about top 1% beef in the country, and it's right outside Baton Rouge, right here in Ethel. Prime Angus beef. You got to see this. It's a different way to buy your beef. If you're not happy because of prices, if you're not happy because you're not sure where the beef you're buying is coming from, if you've always done it one way and are looking for a different way to buy your beef, this is your answer. You don't have to ask questions about where your beef came from if you buy from Sagrera Farms. It's right there on the farm. You don't have to ask how many DNA are in this beef that I just bought. It's one. You don't know what you're buying when you buy it somewhere else. You don't have to ask if they're improper steroids given or improper antibiotics given to the beef. That's never going to happen at Sagrera Farms. And you don't have to ask about quality either, because they know what the quality is. It's prime. I tell you about that intramuscular fat score all the time. You talk about select, that's 1 to 3. You're talking about choice, 3 to 8. You're talking about prime, that's 8, 9, and higher on that score. Well, you're talking about Sagrera Farms, 14, 15, 18, 20 on that IMF score. That is the best of the best, and it's right here just outside of Baton Rouge. So give Sean a call, 225-719-1723. Again, 225-719-1723. Get a quarter, get a side, get a whole cow to stuff your freezer with so you have the best ground beef, the best steaks, the best ribeye filet, strip, whether you're looking for skirt, chuck, all of it. Sagrera Farms has got you covered. Some of the best beef in the country just outside of Baton Rouge. Bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. Come back, talk a little Paul Skeens, close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Shout out Paul Skeens, National League Cy Young Award winner, posted the lowest ERA in baseball this year at 1.97. First sub-2 ERA in the history of the Pittsburgh Pirates. First in Major League Baseball since Justin Verlander 3 years ago with the Astros. The last pitcher with a sub-2 ERA at 23 years old or younger, Doc Gooden in 1985. It's only been done now 4 times in the history of Major League Baseball. Vida Blue did it in 1971, Louisiana native. Dean Chance did it in 1964. Dwight Gooden, Vida Blue, Dean Chance, Paul Skeens. That's it. Under 23, sub-2 ERA. He allowed 0.5 home runs per 9 innings. That led the majors this year. He allowed a .948 whip, walks and hits per inning pitch, so under 1. That led the National League. He struck out 216 hitters. That is the most ever by a Pittsburgh right-hander. And despite all that, he was 10-10. Shout out to the Pirates bullpen. Shout out to the Pirates offense. It's just awful. But Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in baseball. Tarek Skubal's awesome. Zach Wheeler's awesome. Paul Skeens is the best. And Paul Skeens was basically the best when he got to the majors. He's better than he was at LSU. He's now, they detailed this on MLB Network last night. He's got 7 pitches that he can throw. Fastball, sinker, splinker, change, curveball, slider. It's a devastating array of pitches, and the top end of it's 101 miles an hour. I will continue to say this, not to like bring myself and insert myself into this, but I saw him in the fall and I was like, okay, well, we'll see what he's got. Like Pearson just hit a homer off him. Like, he'll probably be fine. I did not see this coming when I saw him in the fall. So I'm an idiot. Not right. He's the best pitcher in the history of LSU baseball. He's the best pitcher in the world right now. And that's not going to be his last Cy Young. Unanimous. 30 votes. All of them went to Paul Skeens last night. Very cool moment for Paul Skeens, for LSU baseball, for that 2023 team. Incredible stuff for Paul Skeens, who now adds the Cy Young to his Rookie of the Year from last year. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer. It's almost a weekend. Might be time to pop the top. If you do, Flight by Yingling. Delicious, crisp, light, refreshing, 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, everything you're looking for in a light beer. Also, everything you're looking for with that flavor. It's Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
All right, so let's keep it on Paul Skeens. So in 28 months, Paul Skeens has a College World Series National Championship, College World Series MVP, the Dick Hauser Award, number 1 overall pick, 2-time All-Star Game starter, NL Rookie of the Year, NL Cy Young. Will Skeens become the most accomplished LSU athlete of all time?
I'm going to leave that. I mean, Shaq is pretty good.
He's up there.
He's considered a top 10 player of all time. For Skeens to be a top 10 player of all time, like, he's got to do some serious work. It's not impossible for sure.
Yeah.
But Shaq's what you're chasing there, I guess. I'm going to leave it because of Shaq, but he's going to be really good. There's no doubt about it. Shout out to my wife. We were watching the Cy Young ceremony, and the first Cy Young that was awarded was the AL Cy Young. And she looked at me and she said, was Al Cy Young a pitcher or something? Looking for American League there. But that's an indication of the amount of sports that get discussed in my home, which is about none.
You know, it would have been weird if she knew who won the AL Cy Young.
Is Al Cy Young a pitcher or something? That's American League, but good looking out.
All right, so the NFL filed a grievance against the NFL Players Association, asking the union to stop its annual team report cards, saying the exercise violates the collective bargaining agreement by airing public criticisms of the team. Is the no fun league back? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I want to know. I want to know whose food stinks. I want to know who does a terrible job flying. I want to know who's awesome.
Exactly.
Like, I want to know. So do it better. Nobody's going to air. Nobody's going to give you a failing grade if you're really good at it.
There you go. If you want to not have a failing grade, become a better owner. And people said this was tied to Woody Johnson because he was the one owner that got a complete F. So, we'll see what old Woody's got up his sleeve. So, I can't leave without talking about the Pelicans.
Oh, wonderful. I'll look forward to this.
Zion Williamson was cleared to return to the court today. But unfortunately, will he be able to stay healthy to, let's just say Christmas time? Take it or leave it.
A month and a half?
Hunt. We've seen him go down in like 2 games.
I'll take it.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Trade him for a pick.
Get your pick back. We've seen.
People seem to think Derek Queen's pretty good.
I ain't gonna say we seen. I think our eyeballs work. This kid can play ball, and he's gonna be in the same spots that Zion is in. And the thing about it is, Queen has already played more games this season than Zion. So at this point, pack your bags. Let's go get that first round pick back, Joe.
Zion's played like 5 more than my cat. Is that right?
At this rate, Hunt, if we might have played more basketball games than Zion at this point because what are we doing? Get your pick back. Fire Willie Green. That's it for take it or leave it.
Get your pick back. Fire Willie Green. We'll leave it at that. If you missed any of the show today, you can catch it on demand. I started today's show with a thought on head coaches who have an expertise in one side of the ball, and that's their identity. And that's kind of what I'm looking for LSU to go find in this cycle. So I gave some examples. You can go back and check that out. Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Also previewed Arkansas with Andrew Ellis of Inside Arkansas. I gave you my one concern about Arkansas's defense. You can find all that at Hunt on LSU. Two Saints segments today. I talked about offensive line. Luke talked about Tyler Shuck and this Saints offense. So you can find that at Hunt on Saints. Missed whole shows. Want to find them all? Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your sound. That's it for us. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms on Thursdays. Tomorrow, Football Friday edition. Get you ready for LSU in Arkansas. Recap LSU basketball as well. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We will see you tomorrow for a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.